Good morning, church. How you doing today? All right. Hey, I am so excited that you are here today. If we've never met one another, my name's TJ, pastor here at the Shore, and we are in week number 3, the final week of our series called Uphill Habits. And the reason why we have this series at the beginning of the year is because sometimes at the beginning of the year, you want to make some changes, don't you? Right? Like, how many of you have a resolution you're still sticking to? Yep, yeah. Minority. You are the minority people right now. And it's okay. Because sometimes resolutions are great. Sometimes they fall off for one reason. And here's the reason. Here's the kind of the thesis of what our series is. Can we pull that up? No? Okay, good. Most people have uphill hopes. We want to do the right thing, but we have downhill habits. We have these dreams, these resolutions of, I'm going to do this. But our habits are going in a different direction, right? Now, what we need to do is stop having these downhill habits and really start to embrace uphill habits. But the problem with that is uphill habits, well, they ain't easy, right? Because if they were easy, wouldn't we be doing them already? Right? We would be doing that. It wouldn't be any issues. So what we need to do is kind of figure out, well, what are some of the uphill habits that I need to take on in my life, and how do I get there? How do I work on those? How do I make this better? And so throughout our series that we've been working with here, we've started off with this one verse, Romans chapter 12, verse 2, and I want to show something to you in this. It says, fix your attention on God. Well, of course we fix our attention on God, because I don't have the power to change my own life. I've tried to change my own life. I've tried to make my life better, but it's only when God gets involved that things actually begin to change. So I need to fix my attention on Him, and you'll be changed from the inside out. Readily recognize what He wants from you, and quickly respond to it. Unlike the culture around you, always dragging you down to its level of immaturity, God brings out the best of you, develops well-formed maturity in you. Now, that last sentence has a couple of commas in there, which means those are kind of like additional thoughts into the root sentence. Now, I'm not a grammarian, so please ignore my, I don't know what I'm talking about, basically. But in this verse, what I do know is that if I drop whatever between the commas, it's still a complete sentence, right? Any teachers can help me out with that? Okay, so here's the deal. It says, unlike the culture around you, now everything between this comma and this comma, always dragging you down to its level of immaturity, that's not imperative to the sentence. But when you take that one little phrase out and you take the two main thoughts of the verse and you put them right next to each other, something incredible happens. Check this out. Unlike the culture around you, God brings the best out of you. Isn't that powerful? Unlike the culture around you, God brings the best out of you. How many of you have seen the world or culture bring the worst out of humanity? I've seen that. How many of you have seen God bring the best out of somebody? Absolutely. See, God brings the best out of us. And so here's the question. Has He done it in you? Has He finished with you? Or is He still bringing stuff out of you? I don't think a person in the room goes, I pretty much nailed it. God's made me perfect and I'm good. I have no issues at all. Right? No. Or are you like me going, yeah, God's still got some work to do. He's still in the process of bringing the best out of me. He's still in the process of working on me. See, that's what I desire. I want to have Him bringing the best out of me, working on my life from the inside out. And that's what this series has been all about, working on these uphill habits. And so let me do a real 30-second review of the first two habits. Habit number 1, we started off with this. We started off focus on what you do first. It was the first Sunday of the year. We focused on putting God first in everything we do. And so we set out on 21 days of prayer. And we started to pray. Today's day number 15. And many of us have fasted as well. And so we have 7 days-ish left today and then 6 more of this fast. And I know what you're thinking. Oh man, I missed the first 14 days. There's no way I can jump on now. Listen, jump on. 7 days of prayer and fasting is better than 0 days of prayer and fasting. Just keep pursuing Him. Put Him at the first part of your year, starting right now. Start together. So we decided that we wanted to put Him first in everything we do. Because when we put Him first, He has the power to bless the rest. If I put myself first, I don't have the power to bless the rest. Only He does. So I put Him first in everything that I do. Habit number 2 was very powerful last week. Control my thoughts. And if I had to sum up the whole message into one sentence, it would be this. Not every thought that comes into your mind is true. Not everything that comes to you is true. Whether it's something that you think in and of yourself, whether it's a thought given to you by someone else, they said something about you, they said something to you, something you saw on a television show, that you read on the internet or in a magazine, all those thoughts coming at you, not all of them are true, which you know, but how many have we identified with and said, you know what, this is what I believe to be true, even though we never really examined it. Not everything that comes to you is true. So what do we have to do? Well, the Bible teaches us that we must take every thought captive. We capture that thought, and then it goes on to say, and we make it obedient to Christ. Which means everything that comes through my life, I pass it through the filter of Jesus himself. Is this what Jesus has intended? Well, how do I know what he wants from me? Well, he's written an entire book to me, right? His word. I go through the Bible. I say, how does this compare to God's word? If it doesn't fit, it's not for me, right? And so I dump all the things that aren't supposed to be there. I've taken those thoughts captive and I dismiss them. Capturing those thoughts or filtering what comes into your mind prevents so much pain later on in life. Because I know there's so many people in this room, including myself, we've believed a lie about ourselves, and it's taken us years to overcome it, or maybe we haven't even overcome it yet. See, God has got something great for you. And the lies that you've believed, they don't need to be there anymore. All right? So that's habit number 2. And then today is the final habit number 3, which is this. Choose my relationships carefully. Choose my relationships carefully. Putting God first is what we should do. Controlling our thoughts, that's a powerful thing. But I'm telling you, this right here, if you do this well, everything else will begin to take care of itself. Because your relationships are the number one decisions you can make in your entire life. I guarantee it. Oh, like as an example, when you're a kid and you make friends with people, don't you start to do whatever your friends are doing? Right? There's great influence there. And as a teenager, many of us, if we got into trouble as a teenager, it's because of the people we hung out with, right? And if we were out of trouble, it's because of the people we hung out with, right? And then as you go into your college years, your grades in college depended more not on your intellect, but on your friends, didn't it? Because some people are serious, and they're like, you know what, I want to get through this. And some people are there to party. And if you go with the party people, your grades are going to suffer. And you go with the people that are serious, your grades are going to get better. It doesn't matter how smart you are, right? And it's as you become a young adult and you start dating, if you're around a certain group of people, you date a certain way. Around another group of people, you date a certain way, right? If you're looking for someone to marry, that's a big decision, isn't it? Who you marry really matters. I heard a teacher say one time that if you marry the right person, about 60% of your decisions are made for the rest of your life. And there's 40% of your life that is freedom to pursue what God has for you. But if you marry the wrong person in your life, 95% of the decisions of your life are made. You have 5% freedom to pursue what God has for you. Because that 95% is all the strife and anger and conflict and resolution that you're going to have to continually walk through. Because you just don't fit with that person. They weren't honoring God with their life, but they won't, or whatever it was. Right? That's a big decision. And then as you are married, if you're married and you hang out with people whose marriages aren't doing well, guess what's going to happen to your marriage? Your marriage will look more like theirs than the other way around. And then if you're a parent, you start hanging out with parents who parent this style, you're going to start parenting in that way. Right? See, relationships have influence over your life. And then it all goes full cycle when your kids begin to hang out with other kids, and those relationships shape your kids. Does that make sense? See, relationships are so vitally important because they begin to shape us, they begin to direct us, and they begin to make a difference in our life, whether for the positive or the negative. And I know what you're thinking. No, I'm stronger than that. Right. I'm pretty strong too. People convinced me to do some pretty stupid stuff in my life. Anybody else have that happen? Yeah, if it weren't for them, I never would have done it. See, I'm pretty strong, but I'm not that strong. Everybody is influenced by the people they put in their life. Look what it says in the book of Proverbs. It says this, a mirror reflects a man's face, but what he is really like is shown by the kind of friends he chooses. What's happening on inside of you can be seen by the people around you. There's this old kind of phrase that says, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Yeah. It's because that's going to be inside of you. That's inside of you. Start getting around the right people. Start getting some people in your life that really want to honor God, want to chase after Him. And I'm telling you, what's on the inside of you is going to start to change. God's going to use those people to influence you, and you can influence them, and you can encourage one another. Start moving in the right direction. All right? So what I want to do is I'm going to take 3 quick things about relationships, and then we're going to start some new relationships. I got 4 points after that, okay? So the first three are three things that we need to do, some action steps that we need to take. The first one is this: feed my important relationships. Every single one of us have important relationships, vital relationships that we need to continually feed. It's like the one good old boy said to his pastor. He came in one day and he goes, "Pastor, my marriage is broken, man. It's just the fire's gone. Just the fire. The fire's gone out. There's nothing left. Just cold. Fire's gone out. It needs fire's gone." Right? But that doesn't make any sense. Because you don't look at a fireplace and go, "Oh, the fire's gone out. It's a bad fireplace. Fire's gone. It's just terrible. It's cold. It's dark. It's just a terrible fireplace right there. Look at it. It's just dead. It's gone." No, nobody would ever say that. What you need is put a log on the fire, right? When it comes to your marriage, you need to put a log on that thing, right? You need to give it something to work with. Get some matches and get some newspaper. Get that thing rolling into a flame. It'll keep you warm. It'll be hot. Okay. We're talking about fire, you guys. Fire, okay? That's what we need. But it takes work, doesn't it? My wife Leah and I, every single week, we pause and we eat a meal together. Like, out of the house. No kids, nobody else, just the two of us. We look at each other and we talk. Putting those logs on the fire, baby, right? That's what we're doing. And we got a marriage conference coming up at the end of February on the 24th. Hey, you want to put a log on the fire? Put a log on the fire right there. Sign up for that marriage conference, which, by the way, is discounted until January 31st, but then the price goes up. So go ahead right now and get it ahead of time. You know what I'm talking about? Get in there. Get some logs on the fire of your life in your marriage. And it's not just your marriage relationship. All your important relationships need to be fed. They need care. They need care. The relationship with my kids, I need to keep that going, right? The relationship with my spouse, the relationship with friendships. I need to feed my most important relationships. Look what it says in the book of 1 Peter. The end of all things is near. Therefore, be clear-minded and self-controlled so that you can pray. And then look at this. This is so vital to your healthy relationships. Above all, love each other deeply. Because love covers a multitude of sins. Love covers a multitude of sins. When it comes to your relationships, we must love deeply because love covers. But TJ, you don't understand. This person's a real jerk. Love covers over that. Doesn't mean you have to be best friends. Love covers. Yeah, but that group of people doesn't like that group of people, and I'm a part of this group of people, so I don't like those people. Love covers. Could you imagine how different our nation would be instead of highlighting the differences between one another, but instead we approached it with love covering? Can you start that in your own life? Right now, right where you are, looking around, thinking of the people and the relationships you have. Love covers. Love covers. Is it easy? No. It's probably the hardest thing you'll ever do. But it's worth it. It'll nurture those relationships. It'll grow those relationships. That's how you put a log on the fire. All right? That's some love. Love covers. Second thing we need to do, another action step for us in our relationships, is this: sever any harmful relationships. Cut them off. Because there's some people in your life that are influencing you and you're not influencing them. And they're influencing you in the downhill sort of way instead of the uphill sort of way. Now let me be clear. I did not say you go home and look at your spouse and say, "Pastor told me, cut him off." I did not say that. In fact, I'm saying the opposite of that. But there are some people in your life that you do not need there. "Oh, but I've known him since high school. They're my friend." You don't walk out on a friend. But a friend also doesn't pull you down into the mud pit, do they? Right? If every time you're around them you do something stupid, that's not a friend. Right? They're not a friend. They keep pulling you down. Friends build each other up. Friends lift each other up. Friends encourage each other towards righteousness. That's what friends do. You need those people in your life. We all do. Proverbs says this: "He who walks with the wise grows wise." There's great influence there from one person to the next. A wise person to a wise person. But a companion of fools does what? Suffers harm. How many times do you have to suffer harm before you realize the people you're hanging out with are foolish? Once, twice, 16 times, right? I'm not saying you can't acknowledge them, that you can't minister to them, you can't help them, but you cannot let them influence you. There are some relationships you need to stop. In particular, married people. Listen, that reconnecting with people from high school of a member of the opposite sex, you probably want to cut that one off. That flirtatious relationship at work that you kind of go out of your way to make sure that you see them every day, you need to cut that one off. Am I right? That got serious real quick, didn't it? But it's true. There are some things you must cut off. That you have to. For the health of your own life. Because not every person is your people. God's got people for you. Go out there and find them. Am I right? Let's do that. All right, and then the third thing we need to do, action step, is we need to start some meaningful relationships. Start some meaningful relationships. There are relationships we have that we need to nurture and feed. There are relationships that we have that we do not need to have any longer. We need to give them the over text, right? Like just, whoop, gone, right? I don't need you in my life. Politely, of course. Okay. And then the last category is relationships we don't have yet, but we need them. Relationships that we need that are for our own health. You see, I don't stand up here and tell everyone everything, but there are some people in my life that I do tell everything. And you need those kind of people too. Don't go on Facebook, I'm so angry at everybody. Hashtag whatever you want. Like, tag your friend in it because they need to know this, right? Like, don't do that. Don't do that. You need a friend that you go to. You can talk with them. You have a relationship with that person. And you trust them. And you pray for one another. And you care for one another, right? And you need to be that kind of friend too, don't you? See, we need that. There's some relationships we need to start. And good thing for you, we got Connect Group signups today. Small groups all the way, baby, right? You need to be in a small group because you are better when you're not alone. You're better when you're not alone. The best version of you is the one that's with people, with healthy relationships, growing. When we try to face this world by yourself, I'm going to tell you right now, it's too much. You need people. And so we've got tons of small groups available for you. Tons. I mean, there's some for men, women, married people, young adults, youth, moms. I mean, and then we've got Bible studies, how to eat healthier, how to get financial peace in your life. I mean, they're just groups upon groups upon groups with all kinds of topics, all kinds of subjects. And you know what? I don't care which subject, topic, or group you pick. The number one reason you're in that group, at least from my perspective, is for you to find a friend. Someone to trust, someone to have a relationship with, someone to journey this life with, so that you can pray for them, encourage them, and be with them, so that someday you'll feel comfortable enough to take the mask off and go, this is who I really am. That's what we all need. We all need to start those meaningful relationships. Look what it says in the book of Hebrews. Let us not give up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing. That's a downhill habit. Did you know that? We talked about downhill habits. Don't give up meeting together because that's a downhill habit. But let us encourage one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. Let us encourage. Let's go in relationship with one another. Did you know in the New Testament there's over 30 commands that you cannot complete by yourself? You have to have a group of people around you. Like the Bible assumes that you have a life with other humans and you're making an influence on them. You're making an influence on each other, right? That's the assumption. So what kind of relationships do we need to start? Well, I've got 4 of them real quick that we're going to run through for the rest of today that are going to be these relationships that we need to pursue. So if we're going to develop some good relationships, here they are. Number 1, the first relationship is I need to develop my relationship with my church. I need to develop my relationship with my church. Notice I didn't say a church or the church. I said Like your church, my church. There's some ownership there. It always kind of makes me laugh. In fact, the first time somebody said it to me, it kind of caught me off guard. I'll be at the back door of the church or at a restaurant somewhere, or run into someone on the street, and they'll just go, I just love your church. I was like, your church? Your church? Like I own this place or something? Like, and it's like, I'll admit, I was the first one here, right? My wife and I started the church. We were here first, and then everybody else started coming after that. But that means nothing. Because this church is as much yours as it is mine. It wouldn't be much of a church if I was the only one here, would it? No, this is our church. This is not mine, it's ours. And all of us need a relationship with the church. We all need that. We all need to have that intimacy. Look what it says in Ephesians chapter 2. It says, you are members of God's very own family. It's not even about a building. It's not about the way we gather. It's about a family of people getting together, knowing each other, having a relationship with one another. And you belong to God's household with every other Christian. You need to be a part of the family. Be a family member here. Or if you're like, man, y'all just ain't my people, that's okay. I get it. Sometimes we are an acquired taste. That's okay. But you can't be floating out there by yourself. I know a whole bunch of pastors in this city, and from Bradenton all the way down through Venice and further. And I will help you find a church that fits you, that are your people, if we aren't your people. I mean, I would love to have you here. You belong here. I believe that. We want you. But if you say, you know what, I need help, listen, I will help you do that. I will help you find the healthiest place for you. Because I believe more in the church, the whole church, than just our own. Because our calling as a church is not just to the people who sit in these pews, but it's calling to our whole city. And it's calling to other churches. Our calling is for God's name to be glorified and people to meet Him. It doesn't matter if it's in this room or not. Like, that's who we are. But you need a relationship with the church. You need to be a member, like a family member. When I first met Leah, who is now my wife, we had a attender sort of relationship. Kind of like how people attend church. And by the way, it's okay to attend church. Like if you just came in here, it's your first time, or you've been here for a shorter period of time, I'm glad you're here. It's okay to attend. But you know what? It's not okay to stay there. You need a family. You need to be a part of a family. So when I first started dating my wife, we had a attending sort of relationship. I showed up at the door, I took her out, paid for dinner, had a good time, dropped her off, and then I left. And some of us are like church. We go, show up, have a good time, and then we leave, right? And then it's life as anywhere else, right? But eventually, I made the transition from attending to getting married. We went from just knowing each other, we started a family. And now I'm a family member, and she's a family member. We got all these little kids running around, right? We got 4 kids. We got our own church right at our house, right? Right there. Why? Because we went from being an attending sort of relationship to a member, a family member type relationship. Does that make sense? And I think all of us need that. We all need that. And you may be going, well, how do I become a member? Growth Track. Growth Track. If the answer from this platform is not small groups, it's Growth Track. I can promise you that, right? Just go through. You'll learn how to be a member. You'll learn how to get involved. You'll learn how God uniquely made you. Growth Track is so important. So if you want more information about that, check the box on your Connect card at the end of service. But we need to have a relationship with your church. This is an ownership thing, right? If things don't look right, y'all help us out. Piece of paper on the ground. This is my church. I'm gonna clean it up. If it was at my house, I would clean it up, right? This is your house. You are the members of this family. All right, number 2. I need to develop my relationships with godly friends. Develop my relationships with godly friends. As I said earlier, this is a small group Sunday. When you walk out the doors by the wall, there are people there waiting at 2 tables going, hey, how can I help you find a small group? How can I help you get involved? We're ready. shorechurch.com. You can click on the small groups tab, and we'll get you ready, involved in the small group. And here's how important it is. If I had to choose between Sunday morning and small groups for you, I would choose small groups for you. It's that important. Now, do I want you on a Sunday? Of course. Yes, I do. Yes, I want you on a Sunday. But I think small groups are even more important than that. Because you learn here, you get to worship God here, but you don't know the people that well. They don't have a chance to get to know you. But in a small group, that's exactly what happens. You're needed, and you're known, and you get to know somebody else. That's so powerful. And when you're in a small group, you don't walk through life alone anymore. When you struggle, the group struggles. I was talking to a guy this week he's from up north, but he came down on business, and he was talking about a small group at home that they've been together for forever. He said one of the parents in there has a kid going through rehab right now, so we're all going through rehab. And another person is struggling with their health. They're going through radiation treatments. So we're all going through radiation treatments right now. Why? Because they're not alone. They're carrying the weight together. We need that. We all need that. We need to develop relationships with godly friends. The early church did this really well. They would gather, and they would learn, and they would teach, and they would worship together. But then they also got down into smaller groups. This is what it says in the book of Acts, chapter 2. All the believers met together constantly and shared everything with each other. They just shared life. They had life together. They cared for one another. They carried one another. They connected with one another. They grew together. We've got to have those kind of relationships that find wholeness and healing in our life. We need that. Number 3, develop my relationship with a team. Develop my relationship with a team. I am a football nut. Anybody else in here? Yeah. Who's depressed that there's only 3 more games left in the season? 2 today and 1 in 2 weeks. I'm dying. I cannot wait for the 2018 football season to get here already, and it hasn't even ended. I'm all about that. I took my 3 girls and my wife to the East-West Shrine game yesterday in St. Pete, and they had a blast. And as soon as I walked through the doors, standing like 5 feet away from me was Brett Favre. Yeah, it's like, I don't want none of that. I'm a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. You need to sack that man, right? Like, no. Some of you guys remember the old black and blue division where the Bucs played the Green Bay all the time. Anyway, that's a little off subject. But here's the deal. Why do we love sports so much? Because they don't know you. They're not walking around with your name on their jerseys, right? But we do that. Why? Why do we do that? Because we want to be a part of something that's bigger than ourselves. We want to be a part of something that has a clear goal and can rally a group of people to accomplish. See, we all love teams, whether you're a sports person or not. We all love those things. We all love doing things that let us know we're part of something bigger. Listen, you need a team too. Our church, bro, we got teams. We got some awesome people. If you love glorifying God with your voice or an instrument, we got a team. Right? If you love working with the next generation and making sure that they hear the gospel in a clear way, we got a team. If you love making people feel welcome and hospitable, we got a team. If you like having people into your house and throwing little parties and making sure everybody's okay, we got a team. If you love holding babies, we got a team. We got teams, man. Teams are so vitally important because these are your people. Because although you're a member of the church, not every person is a member of the church thinks just like you think. But there's certain groups of people that are like, you know what? Man, I just love that music. Or I just love that fill in the blank. That's your team. Those are your people. Look what it says in the book of Amos. It says, can 2 people walk together without agreeing on the direction? You want to find the people in your life that are moving in the same direction as you. You want to find some friends that have the same goals, that have the same temperaments, the same mentality on life. Parents, same type of parenting. Married people, same type of marriage. The single people, same godly values, right? Like, you want to find people, but most importantly, you want to find teams that reflect who you are. Get on a team of people, because you gotta be a part of something that is just bigger than yourself. We need that, don't we? We got to be on a team. We got to use our hands to know we're making a difference. We got to have a goal that we're working for together. But it starts by finding your people in your direction. All right? And then fourth thing is develop my relationship with God. Develop my relationship with God. And some of you guys are going, well, I'm a Christian, so check. Next. Like, done. But just asking God to save you, that's like step one on a relationship journey. You just like you can throw a log on the fire of your relationship with your spouse, you can improve your relationship with God too. You can set aside times of prayer. You can set aside times where you get in His Word. You can get in a small group and learn about Him, right? Like you can do these things. You can develop your relationship with God in a greater way. Here's the trouble that many of us fall into. Sometimes we go, you know what? I'm gonna give this God thing a try. You ever hear that before? I'm gonna try this God thing. I'm gonna try what He says. I'm gonna try to read my Bible. I'm gonna try to pray. But that doesn't make much sense when you really think about it. I'm gonna just try to get a master's degree. We'll just see what happens. Or do you have to kind of commit to that thing, right? Or I'm gonna try this marriage thing and kind of see if it works out. I know how it's gonna work out. Not well for either one of you guys. See, there are some things that you just try. When it comes to your relationship with God, you don't just try it. It's one of those things you go all in. Whole heart. Jeremiah 29 says this. If you look for me wholeheartedly, you will find me. You'll find me. Which almost makes you think when you look at it for Him half-heartedly. I mean, I believe God's gracious and He'll meet you right where you are, but it makes you kind of think like, man, half-heartedly is kind of not really anything at all, is it? We got to go all in on Him. We got to go all in on our relationship. And I'm telling you, for the next year, if you go wholeheartedly after God, like you commit to Him, to do what His Word says, jump in a small group, go through the growth track. I'm telling you, by the time 2018 ends, you're going to look back at this January and go, wow, I don't even recognize that person anymore. I don't recognize who I used to be because He's changed me from the inside out. He's bringing the best out of me. If you run the plays He has for you, I believe that your life can change dramatically. But we have to go wholeheartedly after Him. After first service, I had someone come up to me in the lobby. They'd been coming to the church for a little while. With tears in their eyes, they said, Today, I'm going to go wholeheartedly into what He has for me. And then this, teed it right up for me. And they go, is there a small group that I could be a part of? Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Walked right over to the table and said, will you help this person find the perfect small group for them? Listen, don't do life alone. But more importantly than anything else, don't do life without God. Let's go wholeheartedly into what He has for us. Let's pray. If you don't mind, no one moving around, real quiet moment so that you can talk to God. You might even want to close your eyes and bow your heads just so you're not distracted. I believe that God has something for you today. And for each of us, it may look a little different. But the primary thing I want to make clear to you today is that you can go wholeheartedly into Him. The Bible says the way we do that is to ask Him to forgive our past and to give Him our future. Say, God, I'm yours. Whatever you've called me to, I'm yours. So the prayer we're about to pray says just that. Forgive me, Lord. I'm giving you my life today. I want to be a follower of you. Jesus, this morning I pray that you would forgive me of all the things in my past that didn't honor you. Forgive me for not making you first place. I give you my future. I give you my everything. Lord, I want to follow you with my whole heart. It's not something I'm trying. It's something I'm doing. Thank you, Jesus. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you so much for joining us online today. If you prayed that prayer with us, we would like to help you on your spiritual journey. If you don't mind going to theshorechurch.com or emailing us at hello@theshorechurch.com, we can send you some information to start this spiritual journey of faith. And of course, we'd always love to see you in person at The Shore Church, 3375 Fruitville Road.